Welcome back to more exciting action here at Field 2. We are back with a women's masters game. As you can see on your screens, two teams from the mixed masters division. JinX from Germany on your screens right now, and that previous cheer was coming from Samsui, a team from Singapore. I am Rachel Doshnerova behind the mic today, joined by Bjorn. Bjorn, how has the day been going so far for you?
I was here for the previous game versus an American team and a Canadian team, and the weather was quite brutal, but it looks to be clearing up, and it looks pretty nice right now. So I'm confident that we'll have a great competitive game in these nicer conditions.
We see players greeting each other before the game. The rain has calmed down a little bit. It was pouring a minute ago. JinX with some last-minute drills, or should I say warm-up drills, really, just to keep the feet quick and ready to play.
I'm really impressed by these. You said keep the feet quick, and I'm impressed how dry these fields are. They're some of the best field complexes I've ever seen, and they drain excellently despite the massive amounts of rain that have poured on them. There's no really standing water or anything like that, so it makes and you don't even see any big mud puddles. So even though the conditions might not be ideal in the air, on the ground, the players are still going to be able to move around pretty quickly.
Yeah, when I spoke to the organizers, they said they're very much ready for rain as long as it's not constant and lasting for a really long time. But here we go with the opening pull. It's a pretty good one. Makes it right behind the brick mark. And JinX pick up for their first O-point. We have Riedel and Jordan in handling. They get a nice gainer to Hurling. But pick will stop the play. And the players will discuss quickly whether this affected the game in any way or if it will be a turnover. And it seems like it will be.
Yeah, you saw Jordan running up the line all alone, so her up the line cut shouldn't have been affected by a pick.
Riedel saves the day for JinX as she gets a hand on that deep shot that went up immediately after the turnover. And she picks up the disc herself. A wide swing to the sideline. And an up the line pass sails a little bit away from the receiver. And Samsui with a short field to go. That's Bender. Finally finds a reset. And here's a big forehand to the front cone of the end zone. Just missed, but great effort trying to get to that disc. Was probably low, getting low.
She almost got there. Really knocking on the doorstep for that downwind end zone.
And JinX go the other way with a big backhand. There's players underneath, including the defense, but the height difference make a difference. And here is a score for JinX. After a few wobbles and few turnovers, they reel it in. Good celebration. High fives all around.
And that was Erling with the beautiful backhand huck. A lot of times when the conditions aren't ideal, you got to find your favorite throw. And when you get the opportunity to throw it, use it.
I actually had a chance to play against this JinX Masters team at Vienna Spring Break earlier this year. They had that as their preparation tournament. And Hurling was definitely the one with the most hucks. Not shy to chuck it deep.
And for good reason. That was an excellent throw. And that's a score into the wind, which, as we talked about yesterday, that means a lot. So now it puts Samsui on the back heels.
So here's a pull from JinX this time. Also quite nice all the way to the sideline, but Samsui wastes no time to center it quickly, and JinX coming out in a zone. The intended receiver trips but recovers quickly. A very tight first cup from JinX. Lots of players around the disc. They get it off to Garcia. Lots of sideline help coming from the players, obstructing our view a tiny bit. Now they get a little pass through the cup. They try to go for another one immediately, but that's an overthrow as the disc goes a bit behind the player, and JinX respond with a huge forehand gainer. They're now getting into the red zone. Hoerling has it again. Can they run it down? Despite that slide at the end, the player unable to get there.
Looks like Erling might have thought about making a call, but decides better against it.
Samsui's O-line with another chance.
And when I said scoring into the wind means a lot because it gives you quite a big advantage, being able to throw a zone is one of those advantages. Zone is much more effective when you have the wind at your back. So you see JinX taking advantage of that right now and making it difficult for Samsui.
And a wobble on the disc gives the disc back to JinX, who are trying to swing it quickly and looking for the continuation into the end zone. And this time Hoerling on the receiving end. And that's a break for JinX.
Yeah, there you saw Samsui really struggled against the zone. The JinX had the confidence to keep everybody, probably almost 6 players within 15 yards of the disc, giving no room to throw through, daring Samsui to throw it over the top, which they didn't even attempt.
That is correct. It obviously does make a difference when the height average on one team is quite different to the other. In any case, this is a Pool B Masters Women's playing in 2 pools here at this tournament. This is a Pool B game. Both teams that we have on the stream right now have so far lost all their games to slightly stronger opponents, let's say. So what they're trying to prove right now is that there is still a lot of talent and depth to show off on the stream, and they'll be looking for securing their first victory.
And here you go. You see the difficulty of pulling into the wind. It makes it about half field. So Samsui gets a decently short field to work with. Let's see if they can take advantage of it. I'd like to see them put something down the field a little more aggressively to really give themselves some more field position.
As the JinX Cup tightens up, Samsui handlers directing the traffic, and they decide to put one deep. There was a little bit of separation, but the disc just got taken away a bit too much to the side for the receiver, which was low again. It seems like she will be a frequent target for Samsui in the end zone.
Yeah, she's very quick, but I think that was the right move by Samsui. You got to play the field position game in this.
And JinX lose the disc on the first pass as the wind pushes it out of bounds. But of course giving them a favorable position for setting up the zone, which they won't do, and they will stick with match. And here's another big forehand throw into the end zone, this time collected perfectly by the intended receiver. Game advisors signal the point, and Samsui add a first banger to the scoreboard.
That was a great throw. The level of difficulty on that may not have been apparent from the release, but she had to measure it perfectly so that it didn't sail over the receiver's head. And the receiver did their part in turn to get under it and play it perfectly.
I would say that that was Bender with the score. And here's a roller pull to start us off for the next point.
That was a perfect roller pull. It had good distance and still made it out of bounds, which is difficult to pull off.
They start off with a quick pass in the middle. Looking for the reset. Ilman eventually finds Tesh. JinX now going backwards. Oh, and here's a nice break throw to Grote. And nicely collected by Tesh. Tesh into the middle. Ilman with a big forehand, but not the precision that she was hoping for.
Yeah, that throw there showed the difficulty of the previous throw by Samsui, because it was a very similar throw, but better executed by Samsui.
But JinX able to get the disc right back and even closer than previously, so that's an advantage. Tesh faking the break side throw, but goes to the other sideline with a wide swing. Receiver unable to run it down. And here is a nice dish over the tall mark by Samsui. A big inside break will be collected by Chua. And a stoppage.
Looks like a travel back 2 throws ago.
So it seems like that nice backhand by Pua will not bear its fruits, as the defense says that she might have dragged her foot a little bit, trying to step for the inside. A lefty backhand results in a contested catch, and a foul, an uncontested foul will be called.
Good D, but a little too physical.
So here is Garcia. Oh, sorry, it's Ho. But another turnover in the middle of the field. Tesh, again, with not too many options, so she puts it deep, hoping for the best, and there's Ilman to collect it with good awareness. She finds Kaufmann. Kaufmann with a big swing, goes off the hands of Tesh, but she gets it anyway. And here's a up the line throw, which will probably result in a turnover anyway.
I think it might have been a foul, not a pick. So I think because it's a foul, I think it might have had to be a stoppage. Tesh is really showing really sure hands out there. It makes it easy for her receivers to dump it back to her because she's a good handler and with great hands. And you were right. Sorry about that, Rachel. That foul did not affect the play at all because Tesh was throwing up the line. So it's going to be a turnover.
So Hot to pick up for Singapore. Here's a nice forehand gainer. Tay will pass it on to Chua, who wants to go back to Ho, who was defended but gets the disc eventually. Another nice forehand to Lee, who centers. Call with a high disc to the sideline, and a second attempt from herself. But now we have to wait the decision of the players whether there was any contact that could have affected the players. I believe in case there was contact and the player fell because of it, the disc was hanging in the air long enough that she could have potentially had a second chance.
Right. I think, I think the receiver missed it on her first jump, but because like you said, it hung up long enough, the fact that she was knocked to the ground eliminated any opportunity for a second chance.
On the other hand, we cannot tell how far the players were from the sideline and if potentially the disc was floating out of bounds anyway. It seems like this will be a turnover. And Julia Tesch will pick up for JinX from Berlin one more time.
The players here showing good spirit, really willing to talk it out and see the other side's perspective.
He's a good double-handed grab by Mittag. The JinX handlers try to swing it and get to the other side, but it's going to be a turnover instead. Samsui had a player streaking deep immediately after the turnover, but a foul on the person trying to pick up the disc quickly will stop the play once again.
And 24, Clara was streaking deep, and the JinX players were desperate to get a mark on.
And Samsui just shy of the end zone. And here is the finishing pass. Hopefully we can get the number 25, Tay, with the score for Samsui.
Wow, one incredible throw, and Samsui worked it all the way down the field and then had the wherewithal to maintain calmness in front of the end zone to score. That's huge.
So that was that a break, Bjorn? I believe it was.
Yes.
So it seems like the teams will go into a timeout as I see JinX circling up.
And I think that was 17, Elaine Lee, with the huge huck down the sideline. Just like her counterpart on JinX, she took advantage of the fact that a backhand opened up, and she was able to throw the throw she wanted to get down the field.
So I believe we did not have a timeout called. It was only JinX being very disciplined and really bringing the entire team on the line to choose the next 7, which is great to see because I believe that a lot of them would rather be hiding somewhere dry and warm. So good team spirit shown by JinX.
Speaking of dry, it looks like we have a break in the rain, and the sun might be peeking out of the clouds.
A missed pass by JinX on the first one gives the disc to the hands of Samsui, who were a bit stuck on option, but get it off eventually. But that one is way too far. And it's the Germans who will have to work their way away from that far sideline.
You see Samsui kind of with a backhand mark right now, which is kind of dangerous going into the wind because it gives the opportunity for the bigger throw. But JinX was not able to take advantage of that.
A wide open dust in the end zone gets overlooked for Samsui as the handlers decide to take shorter passes. Lots of pressure from JinX. Now Liu has it. She's gonna go for the break side. And a foul potentially called. Mittag was really close, and this will be a really hard one to judge. Maybe we'll see that on the replay. The disc sort of going right in between the players.
To me, that looks like the defensive player took a better line to the disc and got the disc well before any contact, and they equally created the contact.
It would almost look like they were going into the same spot, but then again, it might feel very different. Luckily, we have the game advisors, which can offer perspective if asked on it, and it seems like the foul will stand and it will be uncontested. Das gets to keep the disc. Fakes off the break side throw. And goes back to Yamamoto. Yamamoto with a huge flick into the end zone. Can the receiver read it? She was moving into the right space, but the throw was just way too far. Sails out of bounds eventually.
Bender was the same receiver who caught the last great forehand for Samsui, so it looks like she's going to be very active in the back of the stack.
JinX setting up an avert stack with one reset handler level with the thrower. Here's a nice inside backhand and great effort trying to catch that disc, but too far for Mückstein. And Samsui give it right back with an overthrow to the open side. And here's a big, big backhand with quite a few players underneath, but it landed in between two Samsui defenders. And so they will have to fight their back. But with 3/3 off the field left, it will be some hard work.
Yeah, and there's the danger of forcing backhand there, because you saw the JinX player was able to put it well down the field, and that just probably won't happen with a flick. So I think it's kind of a tactical error to force backhand. So we'll see what they do here.
Maybe they've heard you, Bjorn. I see them forcing flick right now.
Yeah, let's see.
But JinX are showing that they are ready to put one deep also on the flick side. This time it didn't find the intended receiver. It was a tad too short. Samsui handlers making sure they bring the disc in the right spot. And they are right about bringing it a bit further back.
Yeah, it rolled out and rolled back in, so you take it where it initially rolled out.
Liu looking for options. The Germans staying in between their players and the disc. And here is another overthrow, but it seems like a stoppage on the play.
I believe it's some sort of a counting violation. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So either a fast count or maybe skipped a couple of numbers or something.
Skipped a couple of numbers.
Yeah, it's a good move if you can get away with it.
We see the signal for retracting a call, so it seems like the game will continue, but honestly, I have no idea what happened because I kept watching Liu trying to figure out what happened, what the call was, but it seems like JinX will keep possession.
So JinX have it where the original turnover, where the disc originally hit after the turnover.
The nearest defender, which is Das, will tap the disc into play. And here's a quick backhand, but no continuation into the end zone. That's Riedel, who's looking for the swing. Not there, she will go backwards. Riedel now stuck on options. And here is the low disc pushed to the ground by the wind.
Birking with an excellent bid, but the wind just pushes it down so fast right now.
And here's a huge forehand, but not what Bender Bender expected, I don't think. She saw a teammate with separation, but unfortunately it was a bit too far. And now the Germans take a timeout to recover and think about how the game has been so far and what they can do to increase their chances to bring the disc all the way back to the end zone. And we will leave you with a little word from our sponsors.
We are a group of ultimate players, coaches and video enthusiasts. We've worked with the major federations and the greatest events.
We're on a mission to make Ultimate huge. We want our videos and live streams to be free to watch.
We want to make stories that not only reach you,
but also reach people outside the Ultimate community.
Like and subscribe, Ultimate TV, the best in the world.
Become a member and
fund
our
work to cover more events in the future and to bring more stories and live coverage to the eyes of the Ultimate world and beyond.
Welcome back after the timeout to the Women's Masters game. One of the last games from Pool B in this category. We have JinX from Berlin, Germany, taking on Samsui from Singapore. We have 2 points on each side. We've had some breaks. We've had some holds. 26 minutes into this game. The players set up again on the field. JinX with a classic vert stack with one handler, one reset handler behind. And it seems like Samsui will try their luck with a zone.
Yeah, it looks like JinX will probably have to adjust quickly after setting up with the offense. That's one thing that happens after timeouts. The offense sets up first, then the defense. So if the offense guesses what the defense is doing incorrectly, they have to readjust their offense as soon as the disc is in.
So JinX, we're doing quite well getting around the Samsui zone, but on that last pass, which they were hoping to get over the deep defender towards the end zone they were scoring into, it's going to be a miss.
Yeah, it was a good look, but I think she threw it a little too high release in this wind. When you throw a high release, it's probably going to get eaten up.
And we saw again Bender striking deep, hoping for that deep put that she could read. But this time it was not too short, but too far, which obviously reflects the weather conditions. JinX going upwind, Samsui going downwind.
Yeah, JinX is definitely a powerful cutter. In a straight line, she has a great speed.
And backing turned a little too quickly when catching the forehand from Riedel, trying to examine the options downfield a bit too early. So there was a wobble on the disc. And in the meantime, another turnover occurred. And this looks like a foul was called on the throw from Liu. And the disc will go back to her.
And Liu, he clearly loves her forehand. She really waits on it, but she usually is accurate with it.
Yamamoto finds Hyun, and here's a big flick through the traffic, and I believe that's Das with the score.
Yeah, Das has been pretty active in the front, from the front of the stack, kind of like Bender has been from the back of the stack. Das seems to get that first break movement from the front of the stack across, and Liu was given the opportunity to throw her sharp forehand and took advantage of it.
That was Liu with the big forehand. But great observation, Bjorn. I completely agree. We can definitely see some patterns only 5 points into this game from these players. For stat leaders for JinX, we have obviously Hualing. We've mentioned her already. Mittag also, together with Grote. And for Samsui, we have Chua and Ho with, I believe, 6 total of assists and goals. But we have not mentioned them enough yet. We have other players being active in this game.
Yeah, I think Lou's been the biggest thrower so far for Samsui, but I'm sure other people will catch up.
Jordan puts up a floaty backhand. Hurling was underneath, but just out of reach. Samsui put up a floaty backhand. The wind picking up again. It's going to be a struggle.
Yeah, so JinX has it right on their doorstep with the wind at their back. See if they can be calm enough and put it in nicely.
Jordan trying to find Hurling, who needs to lay out, but again the disc slips out of her hand. Samsui signaling that they need more in cuts. Lee goes back to the middle. And here is the nice break through the cup. Now Ko has it. On a high disc, Hurling catching imaginary flies together with the floating disc.
Yeah, you talked about the height advantage that the Germans have, and you really saw that there.
Incredible snag out of the air. Chichovitz over the top. This time, not even the tall JinX player can read it, but a stoppage is signaled and a foul is called, which will be uncontested, and the disc will return to Lisa Chichovitz. JinX sticking with their vert stack setup. It seems to be what they've been practicing and what works for them. And here's a big forehand. I think she was looking for Hurling there.
I think she might have thought it would go over the top, but the wind just kept it down and allowed the stack defender to get it.
And an unfortunate drop. Ho really struggling for Samsui to find open players and is forced into difficult snappy throws. But here's JinX with a break throw. Can they make it all the way into the end zone? No, it seems like the wind pushed it down for Hurling one more time.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It was a perfect cut and a decent throw, but just didn't work out. They'll probably get it next time, though.
Ho goes for the forehand through the break side. And some JinX players signaling an out of bounds call on the first catch. I think it might be just as well retracted as the subsequent play resulted in a turnover. And Mitrach centers to Jordan. Big forehand into the end zone, but no one there.
I think, yeah, everybody misread it, so
but
wasn't going to be able to make a play. I think it was supposed to be to the first receiver cutting on the side.
Hurling will discuss with her defender the level of physicality that both of these players are comfortable or uncomfortable with. But the turnover will stand, and Ho takes the disc to the front of the end zone. Near sideline it is. The difficult corner, lots of traffic around the disc. They get it off. Ho has it again. And now she finds a really good option. A great forehand to a free receiver. But what seemed like a drop might have been a foul based on what the players are saying.
I think it's going to be similar to the one on the sideline earlier, where there might have been a bobble at first, but then the contact eliminated any secondary effort, and so I think that might be what the receiver is saying.
The players quickly go to the game advisor for their perspective, as the game advisor was standing in a place where she really, I think, could have seen what actually happened. So she will give a quick explanation, but of course leave the final decision for the players.
Bringing in the second game advisor to help out with the perspective.
What I have noticed, Bjorn, is that on the results page, which is, by the way, www.results.wfdf.sport, you can see the spirit scores of some of the teams, the ones that they have received so far. And I wanted to ask you, as an American, from a lot of the American teams, I have seen in their evaluation that they put in notes because in Europe, it's only common to put in a special note if you award the other team a 4. So,
I see.
But I saw lots of comments from the American teams, regardless what the spirit score was. Is that a thing?
But we don't do the spirit scores the same way in the U.S. So maybe the fact that the novelty of the comment section is they kind of felt obligated to use it because they're like, oh, what's this? Well, if there's a comment section, we better say something because normally there's no comment section on the spirit scores when working in the USAU. So so it's probably just using a new tool that they didn't know existed. So yeah, I hope that most of the comments were constructive.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I was just about to mention, since we've had several discussions so far, that for JinX, they've only been praised for their good spirit by the American or Canadian opponents. Also commended for their strong sideline and overall good intensity of the games. So it's good to know now. A nice interception by Hurling on the field. Jordan, big fakes, goes for the big swing.
That was a beautiful throw.
And here's a score by Hurling, who does a nice signal of the point just scored, and an important hold for JinX as they fell a little bit behind in those last tiring 2 points.
Glad to see Jordan there, who's clearly a very strong thrower, but she was allowing her flicks to get a little too high on the rest of the beginning part of that point. And there on that last one, she kept it nice and tight and low and got it all the way across the field to set up her teammates for a pretty easy score.
Eldgen with just a quick dish to the sideline, and then Chichovitz with the assist. Good stuff from JinX. Like we said, we've said it on the stream almost with every game. Basically, you come to a new field, you come to completely new conditions. You need to feel up the grass, you need to feel up the wind, you need to assess the overall settings again and again. And you also, obviously need to assess the opponent in the first 3 points as well to see what throws they will allow and which options they will take away. So it is really challenging being outside all day in the wind, sun, cold, and rain.
Yeah, I think, like you said, assess the field. I think there's every angle of field here compared to the wind. The fields are rotated every which way just due to the nature of the complex. So yeah, every field is its own special, unique location.
So in the meantime, JinX managed to force a turnover. It really was more of an overthrow from what started off as a good look, going over the heads of the JinX receivers, which is actually a very popular defensive setup for German teams, really, where they try to stay in between the disc and the thrower. They do so again, and now Samsui is coming up with an answer in a sense that they realize that they will need to go with some overhead throws, and in that sense I mean over the head of the defenders.
Gotcha.
They haven't done that well so far, in a sense that the throws weren't precise enough, but they have the right idea. So third time's the charm. Can they execute it this time? Here's a big forehand. Riedel is underneath, but it's floating all the way to the left side. And
whoa!
a last second drop on what was a perfect read by number, was it 24? Was it Cole? I believe so.
Yes. That was an amazing swaggle on the disc, how it faded back towards the receiver and allowed her to read it well, but unfortunate drop.
But Samsui will get another chance as the throw from Riegel bounces off the chest of her receiver, and Liu picks up. Big backhand fake. She will go for the forehand into the end zone, and that's a score. So many people jumped up for that. And who else with the score?
Bender sitting at the back of the stack waiting to read it, not running too far under it, which is the classic mistake, making sure to stay to the back left so that she can always be attacking the disc. And you saw Lou there, who loves her forehand, fakes the open backhand side to get the mark over, and clears out space for the flick she wanted.
Yeah, I think exactly. I think flick side was the open side, but the mark was really putting her hand out there. So what a way to move that mark. Really faking big on the backhand side and then getting it where it needed to be. So Samsui go up 4-3. 40 minutes into the total of 100 minutes in this game. Sun making its appearance, together with some smiles and waves from the sideline.
Sun's out, and now the smiles come out.
You wouldn't believe how grateful you become for certain things until you've lost them. So, JinX pick up, and who else than Tesh, the main handler for the JinX O-line. They managed to move the disc into the middle, but this time the forehand gets pushed to the ground. And Samsui with Ho as their steady handler to pick up with a short field to go. Tua with a break side throw, curving away from the defender. Second chance for JinX.
Not a bad look, and that would have been a huge point into the wind.
I like the aggressiveness with which Samsui really attack downfield, making sure they don't lose the disc on easy dumps. And that's going to be a score. I had the entire play after the turnover hidden behind Milan and his camera, getting all the action caught on camera for you. So you probably saw on the stream, and that's a break for Samsui. We were just saying how important the upwind score would have been for them, and this is exactly what they do. Here's the interception, not an interception, a wobble resulting in a drop, and it only took one nice lefty backhand to the front of the end zone for the score.
A lot of teams, when they're going from their own upwind end zone, will have the mantra of no short passes up here because a drop is so devastating, as you can see there. Giving a team a 4-yard field going into the wind is so hard. So you probably, if you're JinX, you probably just want to send it no matter what to win that field position battle, to make sure that you don't give a short field into the wind.
I completely agree, but it is sometimes very hard to convince Germans that you don't have to play conservatively all the time. They love their dump and swing game. I call it boring German ultimate. It's probably offensive, so I apologize in advance. It works incredibly, of course, the German national team and German club teams being at the top of European elite ultimate. But in conditions like this, you really have to rethink your approach almost constantly, practically with every pass. So Samsui sticking with their zone. We'll have JinX really engaging their core, trying to put lots and lots of spin on the passes. Here's Mittag with a high release backhand to Riedel, but that is way too dangerous. Riedel unable to hold on to it. Lieu puts up one of her signature forehands immediately. but not enough time for the receiver to read it. You can probably see on our here on our mics the amount of wind that is not just on the field, but also here with us in the commentator booth.
Yeah, it's certainly ripping through the air right now, and you can see really forcing those discs to do weird things in the air, making it hard for receivers.
And here's another forehand that's low, but this time it seems like it will be called up.
The scoring machine Bender tearing up this downwind end zone. She's the ideal receiver for the downwind end zone because of her aggressive straight line speed and great hands.
So Bender, that was a very impressive layout from her. She was going straight into the ground and managed to get the disc with both hands. I hope we have a replay of that. Yes, we do. Here's the slice through the middle. Yeah, not the greatest perspective, but it seems like even the JinX players call it up. So great effort. And Samsui with another break going up 6-3. I feel like they have a little bit more energy right now. I think it shows in the, I don't want to say carelessness, but I would say they're not bothered too much about what things look like. They do whatever works.
Yeah,
and it's working.
I agree. Well, kind of like what we were talking about. Instead of worrying about playing the right way that you might play on a nice windless indoor day, they're just shooting the ball every time they get it and trying to really play that field position game, and it's kind of working out for them.
And Jordan getting huge gains with big backhands. She's going to do another one, but Ho seems to be in the way all the time. And she puts up one of her own. But look, it's Tesh with the defense. And we'll see if she will be able to put one up for her teammate. She tries to do so. Ho was there again. And all the discs just ending up on this near sideline. I think the players need to be a little more aware if they can, if maybe they can have a bit of some hints from the sideline, making sure they always collect their discs on the nearer sideline. The wind is blowing them all in our direction. Come closer to us. Come closer to us and get your points. Ho now, looking for the holes in the cup. She crashes, and there will be a bit of a collision.
Yeah, working in the tight spaces there. Just a little bumping, nothing malicious.
And here, a high grab. Disc eventually collected. That was Lee on the far sideline. Now Pua has it. Stall count running high. Lee with the disc again. Ho. Backhand turfs the ground despite the efforts of Pua. And another chance for JinX. This is an important hold. They're going downwind. All they need is one good pass and a receiver who's gonna collect it in the right space. Nothing there for the continuation. Ilman puts up a floaty one. Two players underneath, and a foul will be called.
A lot of contact on that jump ball. We'll see what they say. As we've seen, both teams are very good at legislating their own calls and going back and forth. So I trust that they'll come to a satisfied agreement.
So now a quick discussion regarding the stall count. It's an uncontested foul, which means the player will keep the disc and the stall count will resume at 0. That's Eldgen with a low backhand. And here is a quick pass to the to the zone. Julia Tesh usually on the throwing end, but this time as a receiver. An important downwind hold for JinX.
Yeah, and we saw, we talked about last point, how the Germans might have been too conservative when they were way upwind, and they didn't really even take any chances at this point. When they were on their side of the field, they hucked it down the field as quickly as possible, and then were able to play in that comfortable 20 yards outside of the end zone. So, yeah, they made sure to not mess around with the field position game that point, and it paid off for them.
So we are 50 minutes into this game, 5 minutes away from the time cap, and 2 points away, the minimum, from the point half. We will see how these teams do. We see Riedel getting ready to pull.
The sun is out, but the wind is still strong, so it's a little more pleasant, but the players still have to battle the wind and really have to think about, focus on which side of the field they're on. So we have Samsui again with the wind at their back.
This was an impressive upwind pull, but here is a really good, finally it works out. Samsui going over the defender. They think about the backhand. They don't send it deep, instead try to go through the middle. And Riedel with a huge push. She's got players underneath. There's options. Could this be an upwind hold? Can she track it down? She's just shy of the end zone. Not there yet. That is Walczak. Walczak centers the disc. Gets it off to Kong. They keep swinging at Riedel now. They will need more options in the end zone. She's calling everyone to come a bit closer. And here is a beautiful pass to the front of the end zone. What an upwind scored, backing with the point. Very entertaining hold for JinX. Break.
Yeah, break. Into the wind, no less. So it was 2 huge throws into the wind. The first huck over the top, I think the defense never got a good mark on. And then the second one, which was maybe a little aggressive from the downfield receiver to another, sometimes those are the easiest ones to miss when you have a wide open receiver running down the field. But she equaled the previous huck to her with putting the receiver right outside the end zone. So 2 beautiful throws to get into the wind. And now it's a much more interesting game because the JinX kind of took back they're going to have the wind at their back again on this defensive point. So that's great for them.
I think it really is worth it trying to work really hard towards the end of half, because once you enter the second half, it's easy to lose focus and to sort of give up because you feel like you're nearing the end and there's not much time and you actually don't feel like doing anything and don't feel like pushing anymore. But if you can still apply a lot of pressure in the first half, it can be a completely new game in the second one. So props to JinX for staying in and pushing, turning on the aggression a little more. In the meantime, a foul is called on the mark. I believe that is, again, a very similar situation where the player tries to step around for the inside throw. And here's a high disc collected by Samsui, and they put a ripper backhand into the end zone, but Hurling will probably get there first. She was baiting it maybe even, and JinX go the other way. They have the wind in their backs. A nice gainer.
While that was a turnover and great D by Erling, that was an incredible throw, probably one of the best ones we've seen into the wind. Its flatness was really admirable. It's very difficult to do right now.
So Eldgen will have check the disc back into play. And here's a big backhand. Defense underneath to collect it, and they will respond with an inside break. Lee goes to Ho. Ho wobbles the disc, and another chance for JinX. Jordan picks up. She will try to get big pivots in And a hand block on the forehand by Garcia.
I think that was half a hand block, half a wet disc.
Will call a foul on the forehand. As we hear the volunteers announce the time for halftime. It is at 55 minutes, which means that the players will finish this point, then add one to the higher score, play to that, and then it will be half.
So if JinX scores, the half will be at 7. If Samsui scores, the half will still be at 8.
That is correct. A nice slicey forehand to the break side. Samsui with a lefty backhand into the end zone, but that one was way too difficult for any receiver to catch. It was very, very bladey. And it seems like a pick called might have taken place before the turnover. No.
Looks like it didn't affect the play, so they're going to play on. Turnover.
So we see a poach in the open side by Samsui and a high forehand, which the receiver will read perfectly. That is Chichovitz.
Unfortunately, it looks to be out of bounds, so giving Samsui the 5-yard field.
Ha puts the disc in the middle. She gets it again, closer to the end zone. And here's a nice inside break. I couldn't quite see what the receiver had to do for the disc to finish up in her hands, but it did, nonetheless. And that is Samsui going up 7-5 with an offensive hold, and that means halftime will be at 8.
It's a very big answer. After JinX getting the downwind, after JinX getting the into the wind last point, Samsui comes right back with a couple of really great throws and a couple of unfortunate throwaways by JinX.
So now it seems like the teams will go into halftime right now. So thank you for watching. Please do engage with us in the YouTube chat. If you would like to say hi to some of the players, hype them up, let us know where you're from, let us know how you're enjoying the streaming this week's game. There's much more coming up. 2 fields are streamed starting today. So thank you for watching, and we're checking out into halftime.
See you soon.
Bichon picks up, and they've got a short field. They've got another goal. It's tied up at 12. I cannot believe what I'm seeing
Can
here.
Lola Dam chase that one down? That is a score for Hasliger Elferkel. Fantastic run by Julia Love.
We're on a mission to make Ultimate huge.
And we believe that requires knocking down the paywall.
We want our videos and live streams to be free to watch, and we want them to go viral.
When you become a member, you enable us to improve our working relationships with tournament organisers, events and federations.
And you'll help us to produce live stories for Ultimate fans, and to generate new fans with our enhanced content.
We are a group of Ultimate players, coaches and video enthusiasts, and we want to bring you coverage on a more consistent basis. We want to make stories that not only reach you,
but also reach people outside the Ultimate community.
Ciao ragazzi, support the community.
And subscribe Ulti TV. There's lots of the videos, posting, everything. Check it out. They are the best one. Woo! If you want to grow Ultimate Sports, become a member of Ulti TV.
Regardez Ulti TV.
Deviens membre d'Ulti TV et fais grandir ta communauté.
Stop Ulti TV. Dale-me, eroginkime, Ultimate avandromena.
Si quieres ayudar a Ulti TV, puedes ser miembro de Ulti TV.
Everyone, follow Ulti.tv on Instagram, on YouTube. They've got everything.
Best content.
Like their pictures if you love free speech. Just do it.
We're counting on you.
Bli medlem på Ulti TV.
Became member
of Ulti.tv.
Mamma mia.
Contribue au développement d'Ultimate avec Ulti TV.
Like and subscribe. Ulti TV, the best in the world.
We want to grow Ultimate.
We want to grow Ultimate. We've worked with the major federations and the greatest events.
We have our signature style 2-camera setup,
with thousands of hours of experience.
And our crew is globally dispersed to facilitate coverage everywhere around the world. We can also scale back our broadcast with just one elevated camera, or scale up with 2 fields, 2 cameras, and 2 commentators on each.
We work with local teams and we all have the same mission, to grow the sport and bring it to new people by providing live coverage and news stories.
Become a member today on our Patreon page.
And fund our work to cover more events in the future and to bring more stories, ideas and live coverage to the eyes of the ultimate world and beyond.
Welcome back to the second half of action from Field 2. We have a Masters women's game from Pool B. JinX from Berlin, Germany, taking on Samsui from Singapore. Behind the mic is Rachel Toshnerova, joined by Bjorn. Bjorn, do you want to summarize the first half for us? It will be difficult, I'm not going to lie.
I'd say it was a pleasant surprise with the amount of into-the-wind scores we had. I would have, if I was a betting man, I would have said maybe one each from either team. But I think we had maybe 3 from Samsui and 2 from JinX, which is really admirable in these conditions. So, when nearly half the scores, or a third of the scores, are into the win in these conditions, I think it shows some good focus and some good tenacity. And I think that makes the game a lot more exciting. So I'm pleasantly surprised.
Well, I would like to say thank you for all the fans engaging in our chat. We have equally, I would say, equally represented fans from both teams, for Samsui as well as from JinX. We have Marlon cheering especially for Alena on JinX. We have some Samsui fans. I believe I saw some praise to Leah and Asako, and there was a greeting to Das, I believe, and her son, who is hanging out with us on the sideline. I believe it was Elijah. Oh yeah, shout out to Angelina Das and Elijah. So thank you, keep them coming. We love to see you guys interact with us, and girls, of course. Hit the subscribe button not to miss any action that's happening here in Limerick. We have plenty of games later today and the following games, and JinX will start off the second half with a big pull picked up by Ho. Samsui again trying to go over the first cup, which will be much more difficult upwind, but they try so nonetheless. But here's a big forehand response by JinX. There really was no one there. That one was too far and too fast, but probably a good idea, trying to keep the disc close to the end zone that they're actually attacking.
Yeah, I think they learned their lesson too from last game, giving up the easy into the win points. They're going to make sure to get that disc down the field and set that zone every time.
Samsui moving the disc laterally. Chua stops the play as there's a little slip or a collision. But Ko seems okay. Disc that's tapped back in. Here's the big backhand for Ho, but it will be Holing who comes down with it. Oh, and a great layout save. They center the disc to Tesh, who's been doing lots of handling as well as scoring for the JinX side. But then a throwaway on the dump pass. Ho goes to Lee. Lee looks off the continuation pass and goes backwards. Here's a nice effort by Ko, but unfortunately too far. Tesh will pick up again. We haven't seen too many big puts from Tesh, right? But she will surprise us.
Yeah, she's definitely just been a more conservative side-to-side thrower. Kind of their big swinger, someone they count on for that. But as this game progresses, becomes upwind, downwind, I think she's probably going to change her mentality a little, as we saw.
But again, great defensive positioning from Ho. She seems to be very much aware where the discs are going to land, and she's always there. Here's a big bladey thing, and we could probably say the exact same about Hualing for the JinX side. She's also always there to collect any throws that go up and hang long enough for her to get there.
Erling has great height and great speed, so and seems to be pretty experienced. So she's going to be able to kind of see what's coming and always be able to get there.
In the meantime, we have fans engaging in the chat again, so I'm just going to go for it and read it. Ulrike Bornheimer's cat is mesmerized by the game and is sending her meows. So in the meantime, Samsui struggling against this really strong win. Ho now unaffected with a bladey forehand, but this time it's Tesh that gets in the way. I do not envy these Singaporean players having to work against such hard wind. And a timeout is called immediately. I think the Germans will try to come out with a set play out of that death corner.
I would guess if I was going to say they're going to do anything, they're going to try to get a pretty early hook to Erling, because as the fastest player on the field, and again, they don't want to make the mistake they made earlier, turning it over on the 5-yard line. So they're going to try to put it down the field pretty quickly, if I were to guess.
So if you want to know whether our predictions were right or wrong, please stay tuned, and we'll be back after the timeout. Welcome back after this timeout. Straight in the first point of the second half, the players call it after several turnovers. JinX now stuck in the deadly corner of the near sideline. I think using the timeout to figure out a set play for them to get them a bit closer downfield. And it will be Mitra to pick up the disc for them. And the sun is no longer there, but the smiles have remained.
Yes, good spirits. We just saw 99 Mitra with a great flick put earlier. Very powerful. So let's see what she can do here.
Mitra does get the backhand off and manages to roll it quite far enough, but Ho there again and gets a gainer immediately. And here's a big forehand, but not quite big enough. A wide open receiver in the end zone. That was Lee.
So it's like the last two numbers didn't happen. They're right back where they started from, right on the cone, same player, same spot.
We repeat, this is not a replay. And here it's Tesh trying her luck, and Hualing was getting underneath. That was a slightly better attempt. Again, a really big backhand. And JinX now need to work really hard to get the D back immediately. For now, Lee keeps it alive. Goes backwards to Ho. And a game is stopped due to a pick.
One thing I liked about Lee, she doesn't seem to be very comfortable with her flick, but with this kind of wind, that's almost it's almost a plus, because she really has, for the amount of touches she has going into the wind, almost no turnovers, because she's always throwing a backhand and keeping it nice and flat for her other players.
Now this was a last-second save by Chichovitz, who did actually catch her D, which was a great idea because there was a Samsui player right behind her. And here JinX are moving the other way. Again, deciding against the deep options, which is very surprising. I think that's Chichovitz again with the disc. And a foul called on the mark.
It looks like Lee was just coming by and was kind of not taking care to not bump into the thrower as she pivoted.
So we see Ho guarding the deep space. But like we said, if I were JinX, I would really go for some huck and D. Here is Hualing. And the biggest surprise is that she doesn't want to take the deep shot herself. She might have to do it, but she won't. They will take it easy. That's Tesh. To the middle, to Kaufmann. And here is the throw right on the money. JinX put one in. The timeout does find its use. And they add another one to the scoreboard.
Quite a point, going all the way the full length of the field multiple times. These players have got to be gassed, but they're still working hard. And that's Mitrask, who finally got the good deep connection she's been looking for all point.
And Eldgen with the score, signaling with the thumbs up how much she liked that look. And after the concentration that JinX had to brought into that last point, they will now need to seek the aggressive energy with which they were able to come back into this game in the end of the first half, as they will find themselves on defense.
Yeah, end of the win defense, tough place to be, but as both teams have shown, they can score into the win when given the opportunity.
Just to give you a better idea of what the conditions are right now, there is rain coming directly into our faces, meaning the wind is blowing from the further side of the field. And I wouldn't be surprised if the players were quite blinded by the rain, just as we are. JinX coming out in a zone. And Samsui, so far working with short passes. Liu was directing the traffic, trying to position her players into places where she could hit them, maybe behind the first cup. Now she has the disc again and puts up a floaty forehand, which goes both over the head of the deep defender Riedel, but also over the head of the intended receiver of Low.
And yeah, JinX knew that Liu wanted to play Huck and D, and was their goal on that zone was to get in her lane to try to make it more difficult.
Mückstein gets down with a big put from Riedel, but again that throwaway down that must hurt after you've collected such a big gainer. That was so lovely. And here's Samsui with a shot of their own, and almost another score. That was a hole in the basket, I should say.
Dear Liza, that was another money shot by Liu going downfield. Her confidence with that flick is pretty unmatched in this game right now.
So Yo was in the right spot, but unfortunately couldn't hold on to the disc long enough to call it a score. But they get the disc again. Here's a high release backhand. Jumps off the tip of the fingers of the receiver. And Riedel picks up for JinX. Tries to swing it, but goes for the big forehand.
That's probably the toughest place to throw from in the whole field.
Nicely read though, but they turn on the next throw, and all Samsui needed was a quick pop in the end zone. And it seems like two defenders collided underneath, trying to get there, but no, the point will stand. And that is So with the score for Samsui.
And the downwind hold for Samsui. It's okay for JinX. They still had their chances, and that's all you can ask for. There will be more chances for them to score into the wind.
Let's look at that read again. That was pretty lovely, but conservation of greatness She wanted to go a bit more forwards with the next throw, and her reset didn't quite expect it. So Liu with the assist and Son with the score.
And you're right, they really do put the whole team out there after every point.
In fairness, they do not have a huge roster. I see about 5 extra players on the Singapore team. We will see how they will manage. It's still quite early in the tournament. A smaller roster shouldn't be a problem as yet.
I think, yeah, the most, in this format, the most games you play per day is 2, right?
That is right. So it does give quite enough time for recovery. But the more players you have, the more you can spread the responsibilities also on the sideline, where we see quite a few kids for both sides, I would say. And here is a little pushing foul on the catch.
Yes, it looks like she is calling it on the defender. That's Sailor with the Katja Sailor, who's been a very, very active receiver, very athletic. Seiler, excuse, pardon me.
It's all good. We're going to butcher the last names all week long just for you, just so that you can make fun of us. We've already had our little geography lessons with Bjorn, making sure that we know where the teams come from, what the abbreviations mean. So please do give us the benefit of a doubt. We are doing our best. And here is a nice interception by Ho. But a drop will give the disc right back to JinX. Tesh looking for the upline. Gets it to Kaufmann. Back to Yesh. They swing it sideways to Jordan. Jordan into the end zone, and that's a beautiful grab for JinX for a downwind hold.
That's Eltgen with the reception.
Yes, Eltgen, very much. And she scored the last point, didn't she?
I believe so, yeah. She's been pretty active on the downwind side.
So JinX staying tight. We all know they have the capacity to add more breaks to their game. But if they will do it or not, that is the question of the next 20 minutes left in this game.
Yeah, from the perspective of Samsui, they're just thinking about that wind. Right now they have the wind advantage and they want to just hold on to it. So here comes the pull for JinX. It's going to make it to half field and roll. And we've got the queen of the forehand, Liu, taking it in.
And a bit of poachy defense from JinX. Interception by backing. Riedel now. Turns around to get lots of power on the backhand, but I think the ending of the throwing motion didn't quite go the way she wanted, but she gets the disc right back. Not from a teammate, but from an opponent. Now this is a nice forehand to the far sideline. Walczak goes back to Riedel. Riedel to Mittag. Mittag to Kong. They swing it nicely, but here is a high throw and a great grab from Mittag. Mittag faking aggressively. I think that really helps trying to get around this zone. Riedel. Back to Kong. Here's a throw through the middle. Excellent two-handed save JinX just shy of the end zone. Here's Mittag with a big backhand floating over the head of the receiver. That is very unfortunate. That was great upwind stuff from JinX.
It really was. I was really impressed there by Mittag. Her throws up until that last one were just nice and beautifully flat, lots of spin. But as the I think this upwind end zone is shown, that last throw is always the hardest.
It also shows that the backhand into that far sideline is just not going to cut it. We saw forehands work out really well, but the backhands just too dangerous, or else you need to wait for the wind to calm down a little bit. Singapore trying a short game of their own. It doesn't work out on the last pass. This goes to ground. Riedel getting ready to execute a set play from the front of the stack. Riedel can get it to the break side, but a beautiful footwork from JinX. That is number 16. I think it was
18. Hyun,
yeah. With the score. I loved the way she was checking her feet, making sure she was in. She didn't want to throw another pass into that terrible wind. We'll see that again. Riedel, I think, initially was looking for the break side. And when it wasn't there, she got the isolated player. Good defensive effort too, but look at that footwork. Making sure she stays on her tippy toes before dropping to her knees.
And she caught it with maybe a couple fingernails. It was very, very close.
I am 100% pro long nails at Frisbee. People always ask me, how can I play with longer nails? But I just find it, they just, you can rip them. They fall, like you break them. But sometimes they give you just the extra millimeter that you needed to hold on to that disc.
So you're the one who, when we get the disc back, all the scratches are underneath it. That's from you?
That would be from my brace, though, not from my nails. They're not that strong.
Okay.
So that was that a break from JinX?
It was a break into the wind. So
really, we're tied at 8.
Yeah, they got the wind advantage back. So now Samsui's trying to work into the wind on offense, and we know how difficult that is. So let's see what JinX does here on defense.
So JinX right now in a very favorable position and situation, because they could get an easy score going downwind now if they can defend well and get the disc off of Samsui.
It looks like we haven't had that as many calls as the first half, right? The second half, but you see the players are calmly talking it out again, just like they were in the first half, because these are two very highly spirited teams.
So fans for both teams very active in the chat. Please keep the comments coming. We love all the love you're sending to the teams on the WFDF YouTube channel. I also again want to mention this hard work that the players are putting in, not just on the field but also on the sideline. I see mothers taking care of their children who are less impressed by the performances on the field and only care about the cold and rain. That is that's the only thing left for them on the sideline. So shout out to all parents here at WMUCC in Limerick, and also to the ones who are strong enough to leave their kids behind. And thank you for everyone babysitting, allowing the athletes to enjoy the week kids-free. Samsui tapped the disc in, and here's a huge backhand. Hurling tripped, I think, when she was trying to follow up, but luckily for her, there was no defense needed as the disc sailed out of bounds.
It was a great throw by Chua, but just didn't hold on and stay in bounds, but really impressive distance into this wind.
And any extra meters that you can get going upwind will count, especially if you're playing against conservative Germans who will not go for every opportunity to hug the disc downwind. Jordan will pick up for JinX. They swing it wide, defense almost there. They keep moving down the sideline. I believe that's Tesh. No. It wasn't, but that's okay. JinX keep possession, but a low forehand leaves Samsui with more than half the field to go.
And a quick low turnover by Ho. Now we got JinX moving down the field with the wind again.
Jordan winds up for the big backhand. She's got a receiver, but this one floats out of bounds as well. Good look. But needs a little bit of OI rotation to come back into bounds. In bounds. Pua. Looking for Ho. A swing to Lee. Back to Ho. Samsui deep in their own end zone. Low grab. Nice break side throw, but there's defenders underneath. Wonderful read by Lee.
Yeah, incredible one-handed grab in traffic amongst the trees.
Caught, tries to go around the mark, she does, but another defender is there. And here's a throw into the end zone for the score, and JinX break a second time in a row, going up over Samsui 9-8.
I think that's JinX's first lead since 2-1, so quite a long journey to make the comeback, but they've done it with a good hard defense.
So we have some fans asking in the chat what the time cap is for the games. All games here at WFDF events are at 100 minutes. So we have less than 10 minutes left of game time. I think we might hit the time cap before 15.
I think there's no doubt about that.
Great energy from JinX, fighting their way up to regain the lead.
Yeah, and you see, I think maybe the key players for Samsui, they're reliant on a couple big throwers who might be getting a little tired as this game wore on. Even with the bigger roster, it seems like more weight falls on fewer people.
Leo picks up and puts up a big forehand shot into the end zone. A layout attempt. Riedel was there, but she didn't touch it either. Riedel puts one up for, unfortunately, no one in the vicinity. But again, we agreed that whatever you can get up the wind is probably what you will take. Here is Yo with a forehand break that gets pushed to the ground immediately, but a difficult starting position for JinX's offense.
Yeah, if they can put a good mark on here, this is not a bad place to be on defense. And you see they're doing a little bit of a zone too.
And JinX left with nothing but the obligation to put up a huck. And as the tent above our commentary tables collapses on us, proving that the wind is absolutely crazy at this stage, there is a game stoppage and the players will exchange the disc.
It was simply a turnover by JinX, and now Samsui has the disc again.
Yamamoto centers to So. Here's a high disc brought down well. And an inside break, and who else for the score?
Bender.
Then Bender. She's been an absolute scoring machine, stepping up her game when it was needed, really using good positioning, and the players, the handlers, know about her really well. They know that she's there waiting for the forehand laser, and they've done it several times now, going downwind, and the score just looks way too easy. Good defensive pressure regardless. It was the break side, so not really the job of Bender's defender.
Right. Yeah, we've kind of missed her for the past few minutes because there's been so many scores into the wind. So it's good to see her get back on the board with the downwind Samsui offense.
Samsui making sure they stay close, trying to give us a very tight game. Like we said, we've expected one, as both of these teams so far haven't had a chance for a victory yet in the Pool B of the Masters Women's Division.
We can tell they both really want one. They're both hungry for that victory, and they're not going to make it easy for the other one.
And the better for us and the better for the fans on the stream, making it very exciting. This was Mitrach with a very high forehand throw into the end zone. Too high for everyone, but probably a good call, as I don't think I wouldn't want to throw any throw upwind right now.
Yeah, exactly. So I think, yeah, like we said, the Germans learned their lesson from the first half, and they are not taking any chances with short fields. They're putting it down the field whenever they can.
Bjorn, do you think you would be able to put up anything in this wind?
I could put up a prayer. And yeah, I don't know. I might be able to hit the parking lot, but that's about it.
I agree. In a world where a deep throw turns out to be a backwards dump, it is very difficult to play. And even JinX going downwind will struggle on that last pass. Hurling wobbles the disc.
Hurling, who obviously has high standards for herself, was a little upset there that she wasn't able to make the catch, but that just shows how much pride she takes in the game.
Ho puts up a big forehand, chucks the disc as far as she can, but you can see how far the wind has taken it. Is that a score for JinX?
It is.
It is. I can't even tell whether she threw the disc away or whether it was the wind that took it out of her hands. But it seems like JinX reeled one in, Hurling stopping the disc and picking it up immediately as she sees the wide open receiver in the end zone. And JinX keeping their lead 10-9 over Samsui.
Yeah, I like that aggression from Hurling. I think that's something I haven't seen enough of. Sometimes it seems like players after a turn are kind of waiting, and as soon as you have a mark in this wind, it becomes really difficult. So I like knowing you want to get a backhand off, hurrying up to the disc, picking it up, and throwing what you want to throw rather than letting the defense dictate it.
Eldgen adds another point to her stats. I believe she has had several in this game already.
Yeah, she's reflecting Bender's success down the wind. She probably has the most downwind scores for JinX.
We're getting more and more fans tuning in for the tight game. We're getting some love from Los Angeles, Bjorn, home country.
Hey, I probably know them. I think I know everybody in the United States, really.
Because that's how it works.
Yep.
And this is a huge put on the field, defended by Riedel. I think if she didn't get a hand on that, the Samsui receiver would have collected it very easily.
Yeah, they were right there. And it's another admirable put by Lou. She's really been quite amazing, but can't do anything about the good defense.
So we will see if JinX will find a way to fight through this hurricane almost. Oh, sorry, it was another attempt by Samsui. But again, the disc falls, gets pushed to the ground really quickly. And this time it's Mittag who will try her luck. One of the stat leaders for JinX.
Mittag, the great thrower with the calm, flat throws. Good person to have at this stage in the game. Keep control.
Now she's working with Mittag, trying to get around the cup of Samsui. We know the backhands won't work. Mittag puts up a floatier one, but it gets there no problem. Riedel goes backwards. And here's a nice big backhand That is unfortunate. That would have been a great gainer if Mückstein was able to get there.
Yeah, Mittag with a perfect amount of spin to get it to the receiver. Just, I think, maybe a slight misread, but still a great throw.
Liu, another forehand for her. Incredible. Unbelievable. I can't get over this.
Bender living up to her reputation in that end zone. And there is the cap, ladies and gentlemen. So we will play just to 11 because after that point we add 1. So this should be ultimate point, universe point.
This will be a bit difficult to say because they blew the whistle, I think,
right
after the score. So that means we will play out this one and then add 1 to the higher score.
Okay, so most likely a game to 12. We'll let you know as soon as we find out.
Well, Bender has been the story of this game for Samsui. Very impressive stuff. We will see if there will be more of her for the rest of the game. In any case, JinX is going downwind, starting on O, currently in a slightly more favorable position, or should I say easier position, to score some points. But you never know when the conditions change. Here in Limerick, it happens every 5 minutes. And Samsui managed to get the disc almost to the halfway line. Here is Jordan. Jordan with a big forehand to Hurling. Goes over her head and lands in the hands of Ho.
Ho always seems to be there to clean up the deep shots. She must have really good defensive positioning because it always ends up in her hands.
She's got the disc again. They do seem to move forwards. Here is Chua. That was a good forehand, but I think Ong hit it with her knee before she hit it with her hands.
Yeah, that was a good look. She kept it low, but unfortunately the catch just couldn't be made.
So Jordan thinks about the huck. She will take it. And I think she just wanted to move the disc a bit closer to where they eventually want to get.
Yeah, at this stage in the game, you really can't take chances.
A little fun fact about Rachel Liu. Apparently she's also a Singapore's top female disc golfer.
Oh,
Thank
wow.
you, Lance, for the fun facts from the YouTube chat.
I could kind of see that in the way she holds her forehand. It's like a disc golfer where they hold it very still, a set in the right hand.
Ho, with not too many options, puts up a big thing, defended by Hurling. Again, a great look by JinX defensively. And Samsui were in the right positions. Here is Tesh in the middle. High release backhand, forehand. And there it is, a score for JinX. JinX go up 11-10. And now I think it's game to 12 for this game as we are past the time cap.
Yeah, you're correct. So Samsui would have to score 2 in a row and 1 into the wind, one downwind, 1 into the wind. And now JinX only has to score the 1.
So I believe JinX will try their hardest on this next point to really push Samsui, trying to prove that they can do upwind points as well and try to bring this game home early. But if they don't, they will still get another chance. So far, I think the team's mostly sticking with their lines. We haven't seen too many crossovers, as the players are aware that the week is long and you really need to use the length of your roster. JinX managed to stop their pull and prevent it from losing extra meters. Liu picks up, and the first throw is down.
Looking for Bender on the strong undercut, but just came out of the hand a little low.
Riedel will work with Mittag. We know both of these players have the throws to put it deep, but they seem to opt for the shorter passes right now. Mittag with big fakes goes to backing. Back to Mittag.
If you'll notice, Mittag being a very experienced handler, her goal seems to be to get it on that far sideline where they have the wind at their backs. So that's always seems to be where she's trying to get the disc.
I agree, but so far no continuation there for Riedel. Now we have Hollmann going back to Mittag. Now this is some solid handling out of this JinX team. And of course, as I say that, the backhand gets caught in the wind. And Samsui with a chance to score.
Yeah, it was a good job to get to that sideline, which was their goal. But that last throw up the field becomes a little difficult unless you can put it way out to the side.
Leo with a huge backhand. And who else is there to collect it then? Bender. Banger Bender. Oh my God.
Well, she got... She was not in position to catch that disc, but again, her top speed looks to be unmatched on this field. Maybe Erling could keep up with her in a sprint, but those two are on another level with their top end speed.
Well, this was just incredible. Look at that wind up again. The disc goes up very high, curves over Riedel, and Bender is there to collect it. That was a really impressive score by Samsui. I think Riedel will be disappointed when she sees that one on the replay. But in fairness, that sequence of handling by JinX going upwind a while ago was also equally impressive. So you asked, we delivered. You dream it, we stream it. This is Universe Point.
Woo! All right, everybody. Stand up at home. Start the wave on your couch. We got an exciting game here.
And here's the pull by Leo. It rolls really far, but the wind has calmed down. Can JinX do it? They put up a big backhand for Hurling, but it floats out of bounds.
Wow, that was a complete defensive miscue by Samsui. They let the best receiver on JinX get all the way open, so they got away with one there.
The wind has calmed down significantly, so Samsui actually have a much better chance than in the previous points to go upwind. Here is Ho. Puts up a big one, but Jordan is underneath and she just needs a big backhand. But this one doesn't float quite enough. Mitrach unable to get there. Samsui. Ho in the middle.
You see JinX with the zone.
And Hurling to collect for JinX on the other side. Jordan goes to the middle with a forehand that is just very hard to catch. And incredible collection by Bender.
You see one of her few into the wind points this game, but it being Universe Point, they had to get her out there.
Liu faking the backhand. She will take it. Chua returns it to Ho. Now she gets it again in the middle. Samsui now moving quickly. Here's a lefty backhand that floats, and it will be out of bounds. Hurling there to ensure that this will be a turnover. But Samsui getting dangerously close to actually scoring a break here, upwind.
That was we had Hurling in the back who was split between two receivers. So I think maybe a pump fake to that receiver to hit the other side might have been in order.
Pick up from JinX, big forehand, slips out of hand of Chichovitz. Samsui with another chance. Will they go deep straight away? No, Jordan gets in the way. Who's gonna hold their nerve better? This one floats. It's read nicely by Grotte. Grotte looking for continuation. There's not much happening upfield, so she goes backwards to Jordan, and that's a wobble on the dump. They lose the disc again. Samsui pick up really quickly, but not that many players downfield. Pua goes to Ho. Ho doesn't have it marked, and she puts up a bladey forehand. Again, it goes to ground. But look how far it has rolled, Bjorn.
Yeah, somehow the Samsui seems to be winning the field position battle, even though they're going into the wind. So good on them. Takes a lot of focus.
Excellent interception by Pua. I think the JinX players were way too far for Jordan to hit any of them. But another floaty disc goes out of bounds. Great effort by the receiver. I believe that was Lee.
She was open. I think the thrower was trying to do a kind of a running start with the throw to kind of start the fast break to get it back, but leaned a little too far forward and popped the disc up.
I can absolutely feel the nervousness of the players here. There's been so many turnovers, and it really is a game of who can last longer. Here's another wobble by JinX, a high disc. Samsui, pick up. Liu goes to Pua, but Pua, despite getting down on her knees to catch that disc, she can't hold on to it. Jordan will take a timeout, and that's an expert, smart move. They do have the timeout still. They haven't used that many in the second half. So they will allow you to take a breather, and also us here in the commentary booth checking out.
See you soon.
Welcome back to the universe point of this exciting Masters women's game. JinX from Berlin, Germany, started on offense in this universe point. Samsui from Singapore are trying to get their hand on the disc on defense, but we've had several turnovers in this universe point already, and JinX expertly taking a timeout to really make sure that they can come out on top. We will have Jordan pick up for JinX. We've seen several times she's not afraid of a deep shot, but as we see JinX set up in a vert stack quite far away from her, maybe that is not what they will go for. And an overthrow on the first pass to Chichovitz gives the disc to the Singaporeans. Ho. And another difficult catch. Jordan goes for the big backhand. I think she saw hurling moving towards that near sideline, but that one was a bit too short. The wind is picking up again as compared to the start of this point. Ho thinks about centering the disc, but she might need to rip it eventually. She puts up a backhand, floats towards the sideline. Yo doesn't get there. Jordan goes for a really high forehand. Hurling is underneath and will call a foul on her defender. I don't think Hurling was the intended receiver. I think Jordan was actually aiming for Cichovec again. But good awareness by JinX.
Yeah, Hurling read it well, and Chua was trying to come from behind to make the play. Not sure if she made the contact or not, or what the call is going to be, but you saw a good effort by her to get around Hurling.
So we will see how the players resolve the situation. It seems like a turnover will stand, as I see some JinX players doing the hand signal for a turnover, which is palm upwards, downwards, upwards, downwards. And that seems to be the case.
Yeah, we got Ho picking up again. Let's see what she can do with it.
Well, she's got Bender downfield, so
Yeah.
that's one option.
Yeah, Ho doesn't seem to be the big hooker. It's usually the second level of players who has really been doing the big throwing, like Lou. So I think Ho's trying to just get it to that second level when there's a little more openness to the field, and then trying to hit Bender. But right now they're really struggling getting to that next level to get past the pressure.
Oh, and here's an interception by JinX. That was Grote with an important defense for JinX. They're now just shy of the end zone. Jordan looks for a reset, gets it off to Tesh, and Tesh with the last pass to Cichovec. But again, the disc does not stay in the hands of the receiver. And one more chance for Singapore.
Tesh with a good calm throw. It just didn't work out.
Another big backhand. I think there was a collision though. Lee and Hurling both moving towards towards the spot where the disc was going to fall down. Probably not sure if it affected the game in any way, but the players will discuss it regardless. This is turning into a real nail biter. Honestly, it's been like that most of the game. You said that they've been up and down, trading points. Whenever one team got a few breaks in a row, the other team came back anyway. JinX doing so in the last part of the game, let's say the most important part, where the time cap was nearing us to the end of the game. So Ho got the disc back, and she will rip a hammer up.
I think that might be the first hammer of the game.
It is, and it was again Grote with the interception. Tesh puts up a forehand to Eltgen, and Eltgen with a big floaty backhand. I think she was hoping to hit someone that I can't quite get the number of. And Ho for Samsui.
Yeah, they're just hoping really to let the wind do the work there, to let the wind take it to the receiver, but it just flipped right over.
Müller trips on the mark, and here's a backhand just for Hurling to pick up. Good defense by Samsui, putting on the mark straight away. And a big backhand, I think, again for Müller, but Müller, I don't think she was ready to move in that direction.
Yeah, I didn't think so either. The Germans seem content to just make sure to keep putting it down the field, and are confident that Samsui's not going to get there.
And Hurling puts up a big flick, two defenders underneath, but so is the German player. But finally, it is Rachel Liu who comes down with it, as in gets a hand on it, which means one more turnover. And I'm gonna check the YouTube comments quickly just to see if the fans are equally excited. We have Singapore from Ravi and Joyce. But Adori says jinx, jinx, jinx. So again, fans from both sides. Samsui now get it through the first cup. And here is a big backhand. But again, this one is too much even for Bender. Hualing leaving her, get some extra meters on her, but maybe also anticipating that a backhand in that direction will almost always float. And here's a beautiful read, that's Müller. They finally hit her. Here's a nice lefty high release. JinX right outside of the end zone. All she needs is Hurling attacking the front of the end zone, and Hurling with the score! JinX from Berlin, Germany take the game 12-11 over Samsui, Singapore. What a finish to this game, Bjorn.
Wow, yeah, Hurling really earned that. She probably ran the most miles of anybody this game, and she was really trying to will her team to victory, and they were trying to get it to her that whole last point, but just never were able to get there, so I'm glad to see it paid off for her and her team as she really pushed it in.
Thank you everyone for watching. We will leave you with some highlights from this game. We need to wrap it up here quickly today as we have more stream and more exciting games for you to come. Please remember, this stream is copyrighted by the World Flying Disc Federation. Stay on their YouTube channel for extra action here from Limerick. My name is Rachel Toshnerova and I was here with Bjorn Shea. Thank you so much for watching. We're checking out for now.
Alti.tv